Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios reopened in Walt Disney World this week. Turns out Disney Parks attendance looks a little flat from 2019. And on top of it, Disney's Magical Express service, major change happening there. And let's not forget, one of the biggest stories of the week, we're going to be permanently closing some major attractions in Walt Disney World. We're going to cover all those Disney Park news stories and more. It is July 18th. Kingdom Report Live starts right now.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Taking a live look outside at the Disneyland Resort. It is Cars Land at a distance, one of my favorite sights to see at the happiest place on earth, celebrating 65 glorious years today, as a matter of fact. July 17th being the day in which Disneyland had its official press opening, and then July 18th being the first official day open to the public. Guardians of the Galaxy mission breakout. Oh, wouldn't it be fun to be dropping from those heights once again. Hello, everyone. Wade Heath joining you here just up the road from the Disneyland Resort, around the corner from the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, and here at the Warner Brothers Studios Media District in Burbank, California. It is so wonderful to have you with us on Disneyland's anniversary weekend, and even though the parks are not open, we do celebrate downtown Disney being open at this point, even though we are in the middle of another California-wide shutdown. So many different interior spaces being shut down again in the middle of this terrible pandemic. But let's start talking about some Disney park stuff. That is what we're here to do, right? Well, who is we? Let's meet the team. From AttractionFaction.net, it's Katrina Manzone and Tyler Crouch.
Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again for being here.
Did you feel it in your heart?
I did. That's why I had to kind of pause for a second and
He's
just,
like,
I was
whoa.
like overcome with emotion. I was like, oh my gosh. Thank you, one and all.
I feel their collective presence.
Yes.
I do have to mention something, though.
Say it.
One of our dear viewers just lost a fur baby, Dee, and I'm really sorry to hear about it, Dee, and I just wanted to say it personally.
Yeah. R.I.P. Flash. He seemed like a good little puppy.
If you lose a puppy, a dog, they really are like extended family members, and some of them are even closer than, most family members, depending on how close you make your pets in your life.
They really are.
It's very sad to hear that. So
Yeah.
we're with you, Dee. Sorry to hear about your fur baby. Speaking of our fur baby, out in Nebraska, it's the one and only Walt Disney World reporter, Gared Hassel.
How's it going, everyone? Happy Saturday. I hope you all are staying safe and happy. And I've got two friends with me today. I've got Chip and I got Dale right here, and they're going to be hanging out with us all show long. They're probably going to be sitting off to the side, getting into trouble and whatnot, but happy Saturday. I decided, Wade, that I wanted to look more professional, so I decided to dress more professional.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, why start now? But it's nice to see that you are making the attempt. Makes a big difference.
Well, this past week, there were a lot of exciting news happening in the Disney sphere, and, anniversary of Disneyland, which is my home park. So I decided, dressed up for the occasion with blue. I don't know what the theme is for the 65th anniversary, so I went with the 60th, which was the sort of diamond blue color.
Well, thank you for doing that. Looking elegant, looking professional. And speaking of elegance, the master of all things elegance in our production dungeon, it is producer Curt.
Why hello there. I'm
Good.
just gonna
Oh, what sipper is this?
Oh,
What on
it's-
earth are you drinking out of today?
Oh, it's my Infinity Gauntlet.
Be
that
careful
I
with
have.
that thing.
What on?
Do not snap. Whatever you do, don't you dare snap. I don't care if you hear a good tune. No, 9.
I'm very nervous about you potentially snapping.
Oh no.
Did you just snap?
Lost.
We lost Gared entirely
sorry.
from that
Oh,
snap. You
man.
snapped him out of
Bye,
existence.
Gared.
It was a 50-50 chance.
What on earth?
I don't know what to. I'm sorry, guys.
Can you snap and bring him back? Is that possible?
I can try.
Take all your energy.
Clap your hands if you believe in fairies.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Oh, it worked. We're good.
You went back in time, put all those. You put all the stones back where they belong. So that's okay. Thank goodness.
We're good now.
Do you feel any different, Gared? A little fuzzy?
I feel a lot lighter. I feel a lot lighter for sure.
Wow. Okay.
But-
Yeah.
But man, it felt like nothing went by. Like no time at all. It was just gone.
That's
So,
how it works, I guess. Well, very cool. Well, I'm glad that you're still with
a
us.
man of many powers.
Yeah, you can do it all. Oh, well, Curt, let's not let your fingers slip again, please.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'll try and keep it under control.
Lord knows what could happen next. Hey, Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios reopened this past week at Walt Disney World. Part of that phased reopening process we've been talking so much about. Obviously, Magic Kingdom Park, as well as Disney's Animal Kingdom theme parks opened first, and then a couple days later, we saw Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios. So let's ask around and see what everybody thought of this reopening process. They had a couple of days to figure out what to do, how to get things right with Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. Tyler, let's start with you. Epcot Hollywood Studios reopen. What'd you hear? What are some of the wins and perhaps downs?
I mean, honestly, I mostly heard positive, it seems like, from a lot of what's been going on over at Epcot and Hollywood Studios. I haven't really heard much negative stuff. Besides, I think the one negative thing that I heard personally was in the beginning of the day, Rise of the Resistance was not doing their first pre-shows, which sounded like a bummer to me because I feel like that sets up that attraction so well. Without those pre-shows, you know, it doesn't feel quite as grand and spectacular. But like, other than that, good things. People have seemed to be behaving, and I don't know. From afar, seemed like things were pretty good.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Katrina, you hear anything different?
I've heard everything was great. I haven't heard any bad things. I was like checking on Twitter and Instagram and everything, and I've heard nothing but the best.
Yeah.
Besides, people couldn't get like Rise of the Resistance reservations that are like on the first like couple tries, but then they got it like at the 4 o'clock or that like the last one that they did. But yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they're doing your virtual queuing for that attraction throughout the day. So now there's several opportunities throughout the day that you can sort of join into that virtual queue. It is not like it was previously where you had to get there early in the morning and hope to God you got onto that virtual queuing for the attraction. So now several times throughout the day, they open up the virtual queue space and you got to try and jump in digitally.
I mean, you have like 3 chances, so I mean that's great. And then like I saw someone saying that they were able to ride Slinky Dog 3 times.
Wow.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
Like that would take you all day.
You bet.
I really would.
Garrett, did you hear anything about your Orlando home reopening, especially with these 2 parks coming back online?
Yeah, from what I heard, all good news, and from the videos I've seen and pictures and like my friends that have been able to go to the parks, everything looks good. They say it's hot, but hey, that's Orlando for you. The only thing that was probably bad was that the Rise of the Resistance, there were some glitches where they would try and log in and then their name wouldn't pop up on there, and then they would retry again, but it would all be gone. So, but that's Rise of the Resistance for you. It is a lawless land over there where they where there's constant glitches. Even when the parks were filled with people, you still had a hard time. So that's just how it is. But it was crazy to see queues like Soarin' that are only 5-minute long waits, and seeing the partitions everywhere, all the plexiglass, especially on a ride like Test Track, because one thing that makes Disney unique with its queues are how they go up and back, all the switchbacks are. While at Universal, you typically have one straight line. Disney used a lot of winding. So Disney got really creative with that queue space. But overall, everything looks good. And I have to say, the probably most creative thing is how the characters are doing meet and greets and interactions. It's very clever with what they're doing over at Epcot, but we'll talk about that probably a little bit later. But overall, great stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's kind of telling that the negative things we heard were all about Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah, sure.
It's kind of funny, but that just an observation. But anyway, go ahead.
No, that did seem like the focus. You're
About
absolutely right.
Falcon. Nothing mentioned about Smuggler's Run, your favorite attraction.
Yeah, because nobody gives a crap.
Wow.
Like, honestly, no one probably wrote it.
I heard that Hondo was down. I did hear Hondo was down.
He quit
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
because it was so bad.
Wow.
He's like, I'm out.
He said, I will not be
Here's
part
my
of this
2 weeks
attraction."
notice.
Wow.
Done.
Off he went. Well, it's hard to hear anything bad outside of that Rise of the Resistance because there just doesn't seem to be much in terms of Epcot and Hollywood Studios reopening. And Gared had referenced there that character meet and greets are not so much the meeting part anymore, more of the greeting from a distance. And we're seeing various videos and clips of what that looks like coming out of Walt Disney World at this point. We saw in the Magic Kingdom a lot of sort of processionals, more so than anything. Characters at a distance sort of waving and saying hello. And now we see in Epcot, as Gared was mentioning, Winnie the Pooh, I think most famously, out trying to catch his butterflies out in these sort of open grassy areas at a distance, looking very adorable, very cute. And then on top of that, we are also seeing sort of Joy from Inside and Out frolicking about and waving at a distance. And I got to say, it's nice to see characters doing things.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how neat that would be.
It catches
Right.
you off guard. You're like, oh, wait, is that Pooh running around? Like, I mean, I think the best video I saw was when he was like frolicking around trying to chase butterflies and then broke one of the spotlights by the tree.
Oh, geez.
He was going a little crazy,
That's
but
so Pooh.
I know, gosh, what a Pooh.
Oh, bother.
It was so cute. I think I thought that was really great seeing
right.
like Joy frolic around and stuff. It caught me off guard for a second. I was scrolling through and I was like, whoa! And then I was like, wait, okay, now it's pretty cute.
She was like, "Isn't this creepy?" I was like, "I think it's pretty cool, actually."
It
I
was
don't
creepy
know.
at first because I didn't really expect what was happening. I thought it was just like one of those, like YouTube things, like TikTok thing that someone like created,
Oh, I
and they were
see.
like frolicking around, and I'm like, that's a little creepy. And then I kind of got the idea, and I was like, oh no, that's pretty clever.
But yeah, if you think about it, they really don't do much storytelling or like kind of immersive kind of, I don't know, storytelling again, for lack of a better term, like with the characters, unless they're in like a show or something like that,
Right.
so it is really nice, like you said, to see those things happening just out at the park, because that kind of actually I feel like it gives those, costume characters more personality than they've
Absolutely.
ever had. Yeah.
Except for the princesses, they're just like sitting in a carriage, and then
Being royal.
and they're just like, hello,
Waving and being
yes,
royal.
That's why the Royals aren't as exciting. Like you see them and they're waving, and yes, they're very grand, but the people you like are the Captain Jack Sparrows, the Flynn Riders, the bad boys and bad girls that can do whatever they want. Even Pocahontas would have a little bit more freedom. I think one of the coolest processionals was over in Hollywood Studios, where they had all the characters riding in Camaros that are all painted and customized to that character. Like Vampirina's looks awesome. Vampirina, it's got some pink, some purple, some blues, and she's doing her whatever it is she does. I haven't seen enough of Vampirina to really get into the story. All I know is that she might be a vampire living
What?
in America.
What?
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I never would have
don't know,
known.
like,
It's all in the details from our Walt Disney World reporter. I will say that watching what we saw unfold with these two parks, it does appear that obviously Epcot can handle crowds that are even, sort of intense to a much better degree than all the other parks, because it's so spaced out. It's such a large piece of property. We did see Disney's Hollywood Studios a little bit of crowding, excessive crowding at some points based were in the park. Mainly, guys, I think that's because what it's coming down to is like half that park is closed. Half that park is dedicated to shows and entertainment. Entertainment and shows are not necessarily back yet. And that's a big piece, I know, of the Walt Disney World experience is, going and seeing, your Beauty and the Beast on stage, going and seeing things like Little Mermaid, the voyage of the Little Mermaid.
Indiana Jones.
Right. It's such a big piece of the Hollywood Studios experience in particular that these performers aren't back yet. These shows aren't in effect. A lot of, I think, union squabbling going on right now as to how they are going to be brought back and in what capacity. So we were hearing that a little bit as to where you were in the park based on the time of day. It seemed like everybody was sort of moving in the same lands at the same time. And so it did feel a little bit more crowded than, say, the Magic Magic Kingdom. But that's probably because, you look at the more so like north side of the park where Star Wars launch bay is and the Little Mermaid and Disney Junior and stuff like that, that's all closed back there. The launch bay area is sort of converted into a place you can go relax and take your mask off, and so that space, while you can go sort of stand in and walk around, there's really nothing to draw people over to that into the park.
Interesting. I mean, I guess that makes sense,
Yeah.
but I'm curious to see. I haven't seen like a lot of pictures about what the interior of like Oga's Cantina looks like. I saw what the droid building area looked like, and I was like actually happy that they made dividers. But then I'm like, well, how long is that line going to be? Because now people can't group together and grab your pieces that you want on the conveyor belt. So how long is that line? No one really said. Someone answer me.
That is kind of a sketchy thing, though, right? Because how many people are like picking parts up and then putting them back down on the conveyor belt and just
There's someone in the back with like Lysol as it like goes by. It's like shh.
Yeah, there's a droid back there.
I would hope so. Yep.
Cleaning droid.
Use your resources.
I'm sorry, guys.
Use your droids.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's nice to see Hollywood Studios back, Epcot return, all 4 theme parks of the Walt Disney World Resort now officially online. And I will say, handling things far better than I had even anticipated in terms of going the extra mile, doing things that I didn't anticipate them doing, period. I didn't anticipate them even considering. You look back at Magic Kingdom reopening and seeing things like your Jungle Cruise boats having plexiglass put in to divide people and, to shield certain sections of the boat. And I just feel like there was a lot of thought put into this, far more than I had anticipated. I knew they were going to do a good job and, do everything that they possibly could, but they thought of things I don't think I would have even thought of.
Yeah, I was just, when you sent me that picture, I was like, what?
Yeah.
It was mind blowing.
Yeah, because, I mean, we've talked about it before. Universal has been open for, I think they opened almost a month before Disney did, and they didn't do things like that, which I'm not disparaging them or anything, but I just wasn't expecting, like you said, Wade, that they were going to be going so above and beyond with, you mentioned like the Jungle Cruise and also just the Animal Kingdom Safari and stuff like that, having the plexiglass windows up. It's just, it's very cool. It's very cool. I'm glad they're taking it so seriously because it's not a joke, obviously, and just happy that they're doing that.
Yeah, nice to see all around. Great to have the 4 theme parks of Walt Disney World back. We wish them much success, even as Florida pandemic cases continue to surge. We are definitely hoping that Disney has a good handle on things and, we'll be able to pull this off in all the right ways moving forward. Disney's Magical Express is a service that you can take from the Orlando International Airport. It is a complimentary service that you can take from the airport, and it all starts at your home airport. So one of the luxuries of this service is that you get to check your luggage at your home airport, and then when you arrive in Orlando, you get sort of ushered on into a motor coach that is themed to all things Disney. It's a whole themed experience that takes you to your Disney resort property and drops you off, and then they pick you back up at the end, and much the same thing happens. You check your luggage there at your resort hotel. All of that gets taken care of for you, and you don't see your luggage again until you get back to your hometown airport, and it comes dumping out into the luggage bin. Well, things have changed a little bit. That probably being one of the biggest sell points for Disney's Magical Express. It sounds like things have been altered in an official statement from the company. They do say complimentary airport transportation via Disney Magical Express service for guests arriving and departing from Orlando International Airport is continuing to operate during this period with some modifications. Beginning July 16th, so a couple days ago, Disney's Magical Express service will not be providing luggage delivery service for those arriving to and departing from the airport. Guests who choose to use Magical Express will be responsible for picking up any of their checked luggage from the airport's baggage claim area so that it can be loaded onto the motor coach to their Disney Resort hotel. Tyler, this is one of those things where I think the biggest sell points of Magical Express is that luggage end, them taking care of your luggage for you. And I almost feel like this is one more, and I get it. It's all being done for the sake of less handling, less exposure, completely understand. But I think it's one more notch in the category of one less thing that I expected from my vacation dollars that is no longer going to be there for me in the short term. And so taking a trip, this is one more notch in that category of maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake, Disney resort prices are so high because they offer so many things like that. Like the Magical Express is part of your resort fee, the Wi-Fi, the Magic Bands, all those things. So you are paying the same amount of money for losing these privileges, and I get that, but I think at the same time, I think the reason they're not lowering their prices is because they're actually actively trying to price people out right now. I really do think that they just think with like coronavirus happening, they're going to keep their prices the same, and they're going to hope that just less people show up. I mean, they want a certain amount of people, no doubt. They're not trying to like lose money by any means, but I think this is all part of a plan to kind of price certain people out, unfortunately. But for us, we never use Magical Express. I just like being in control of my own bags. I know we've had friends before who have had like issues here or there. They show up and there's like an hour wait to get on the bus or anything like that. So we just don't really use it. So I understand certain people are going to be upset it's gone, but I think we need to remember that the cast members need to remain safe, and it's also safe for you too, because who knows where they're stacking all these bags, and just the less contact the better right now, in my opinion. Even though we've heard maybe touching things doesn't necessarily spread the virus too much, it's just better to be safe than sorry, in my opinion, at this moment.
Now, Curt, you're somebody that takes Magical Express
Yes.
when you visit Walt Disney World, knowing that the luggage end of it is no longer being afforded through the process, no longer being accounted for and taken care of for you. Is that something that would make you, if you were potentially taking a trip during this time, is that something that would make you stand back and go, all right, this is one more thing and it's broken the camel's back?
I probably, yeah. It's definitely another thing that we really, I guess, took for granted, but we really like that, like not just giving them our luggage. And I remember talking to my wife about this, and she said the biggest thing that she was upset with is, so they're not going to give us luggage tags anymore either. I love the little character luggage tags, which I find hilarious. But like, yeah, it's just makes me want to just not go even more.
It's a big sell point.
Yeah. I really do. Like, I don't have to touch my luggage. It's just there in the room. That's awesome. I love that service.
Yeah.
I miss that service.
I do too. Yeah, it's definitely something that when I take Magical Express to Walt Disney World, I always kind of count on. There has been to a certain degree, especially if I'm doing sort of a solo trip and doing things for sort of a research purpose, I will pack as little as possible, to the point that sometimes I won't even go with luggage so that I don't necessarily need it. But, if I'm going on a trip with people and I know I'm going to be staying for a long period of time, it is nice to know that luxury is there, that I can check my luggage, at my home airport, and then it arrives in my room when I get there, and then on top of it, that I can check it at the resort and not see it again until I get home. So, unfortunately, one more thing that has been sort of reduced in this sort of pandemic way of doing things moving forward. Again, it is just temporary, we believe, but at the same time, one more sort of notch in the category of something to consider before you plan that Disney World trip until things have been sort of scaled back in the pandemic rulings. So we want to look forward to a Disney Magical Express piece to our trip, or an influence of Magical Express to our experience. So hoping for the best there. We look forward to hearing the luggage service being back in action very soon. All right, my friends, Disney Parks attendance domestically was reported by the Themed Entertainment Association in their annual report for 2019 to have not necessarily been all that great after all. So 2019, we did see the grand opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge from coast to coast in Disneyland Park and at Disney's Hollywood Studios and Walt Disney World. Obviously, coming out of 2019 and into 2020, there were only a few months where normal operation was even happening. And we did see Rise of the Resistance coming out of the end of 2019 and into 2020 come online for both coasts. So that certainly could impact the overall attendance if things were normal. However, knowing that the Themed Entertainment Association has now said, hey, basically attendance was flat for 2019 for Disney parks. You surprised by that, Katrina?
No. Again, like when Star Wars opened, a lot of people were like, wait, there's only going to be one ride. And it wasn't even that great of a ride. And then so a lot of people were like, I'm just going to wait, hold out until Rise of the Resistance opened. And that was at the end of the year, you know? And even then, it's at that point, it's too expensive for a lot of people to travel. So, I mean, Star Wars, Smuggler's Run is not that great. I wouldn't have, like, I mean, we went because it was super exciting, you know? But how many times can you really go to that world again? Like, we're going to like repeat ourselves like over and over and over again. You like can go like once or twice. And then at that point, it's too expensive to go because you can't, how many lightsabers can you buy?
Right.
I'm kind of with you. I feel like I feel like I was sold a bill of goods on Galaxy's Edge in general. Just them talking about the interactive nature of it and things like that. And I just feel like they actually took a step backwards when I think about things like Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I was expecting there to be just droids and aliens walking around, and I'm getting off topic, I guess, but anyway, I'm just not that surprised that it was flat. It was not one of those things where I felt like there was a whole lot of new reasons to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was so flat that they had to bring back a nighttime parade, you know, because they realized that attendance was really low and they were trying to get people back into the park. So like, hey, we're going to do a nighttime parade again, you guys. It's going to be great. Come on in. And even that was kind of the first night, I guess, apparently was really busy. Like we went on the first night for my birthday. But then after that, it just kind of fell flat again.
Yeah. Kind of crazy to think that that $1 billion investment to build Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which was supposed to be sort of the second coming of all things Galaxy, didn't really pan out the way that the company had anticipated. I mean, no company makes an investment like that with the anticipation that attendance is going to remain flat. Let's be very clear. Gared, knowing that not only Hollywood Studios and Walt Disney World brought on a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but also was just fresh off the heels of Toy Story Land opening on top of it. I mean, you had really two major areas in Walt Disney World that were a huge draw, or were supposed to be a huge draw for new attendance and new interest into the parks. What do you make of that?
It's disappointing, and with the fact that I agree completely with Tyler and Katrina in that when you plan a trip to Walt Disney World, you want to get your money's worth. And when the parks are, or when a new land is opening and you only get one of the two big rides there, you don't really want to buy it again. If you would have gotten the full package deal, it would have brought in more numbers. Like me going there, I can go anytime I want because I live in Florida. But for those that live, say, like the Midwest or where you're a little bit further away, you see that things aren't fully finished and you're just, I don't want to do that. I think another driving force between these flat numbers are that a majority of Epcot just started closing, or a lot of things shut down due to the construction for what would have been the 50th anniversary / the years afterward, like grand celebration transformation of Epcot. So there's right now, Walt Disney World is in the phase of reconstruction and reimagining. And that definitely drove things down, because when you hear that, oh, you want to go on this? No, that's gone. You want to go on this? No, that's not ready yet for you. You want to hold off. And if COVID wouldn't have happened, I think 2020 would have been a huge year because, you know, things are going to be fully open. You'd be able to experience that. But I definitely think that because Star Wars Land was not fully completed, that definitely kept people from wanting to go, because you're going to go once, but like you could have, if you would have had it done all at once, people could have gone twice and gotten to experience all that rather than two separate times. So it's disappointing, but I think it's all because of this whole reconstruction phase that Walt Disney World is going to, or is going in due to the 50th anniversary upcoming.
So you subscribe to the idea that 2020, had it not been interrupted by this global pandemic of a bastard, that you would have seen attendance rise, you think?
I definitely think so. Well, it's tough to make because while Hollywood Studios would have been the place to be with the new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Galaxy's Edge, along with Toy Story Land all being open, Epcot would have been the negative part of it because, half of Epcot is gone. However, you would have had a new piece such as the new Ratatouille attraction over in Epcot. So 2020, I think, would have done far superior than 2019 just because of all the new stuff. Like you even have a new DVC resort, the Riviera Resort opening. So it's sad, but maybe 2021, maybe 2021. You don't know. We're not really counting 2020 as a year of theme parks. It's been closed for half the year almost. So what can you do?
I definitely think that the 50th anniversary year for Walt Disney World, for Magic Kingdom especially, is going to be one that, just based purely on nostalgia, is going to bring a lot of people, hurling in, assuming that everything is safe and things are back to some semblance of normalcy, because I think that is really pushing people away and will continue to, as long as this global pandemic continues to be a problem.
True. And I also hope too that they learn that maybe they should when they open these big ticket attractions, that the whole place should be ready to go. Yeah. I think that's kind of why they're not really talking about the e-ticket for Avengers Campus too much, because they don't want people to think like the same thing with Star Wars, right? Where we'll just wait for Rise of the Resistance to open. They don't want people to be like, oh, well, there's going to be another attraction a couple years from now. Maybe we'll just wait to go then, it's one of those things where I just hope they learned that. I'm not saying that's the only reason that they had flat attendance, but it definitely didn't help that Rise of the Resistance was so delayed. Anyway.
Hey, Tyler.
Nope.
I personally am making a trip out just for all the amazing food that they're going to have at the
I'm with you.
restaurant.
That's that chicken sandwich, am I right?
That chicken sandwich.
Attraction. I want the $5 chicken sandwich that pretty much has the value of 3 sandwiches in there.
It's going to be $5 at Disney?
I want 1,000 calories in one meal right there for a cheap price. That's food is an attraction for me.
Oh, no, I'm in 100% agreement with you, Gared. Yeah, Gared, I 100% agree with you. I think that I am excited to go to Avengers Campus for the sole purpose is food. Honestly, I don't care about Spider-Man. I think the stunt thing is going to be cool. I like Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think the ride is going to be fantastic. That's just getting into too much guessing, I guess. But at the same time, I'm there for the food, so I'm with you, Gared. That's what I'm excited about right now.
That's how Epcot makes half of its money, through the festivals, like Food and Wine, Flower and Garden, Festival of the Arts. That's all food.
We have made trips to Disney World just to do the festivals before, so I'm like, that's like the main reason.
They become a heck of an attraction.
But it's going to be all there. Yeah. If you open up a land, they need to like completely finish it before they start pimping out all this stuff, being like, hey, you guys, this is going to happen 2 years from now, but you should still come and visit and ride this attraction first. But like Food and Wine, it's all going to be there, and that's what you head for. If they said like half of the booths are going to open this month and then the rest of the booths are going to open the next month, then you're going to wait for the next month to make sure you get all the booths.
True. Yeah. And what's interesting, by the way, something I want to go back to a certain degree is in the, I think it was the fourth quarter earnings call last year, Bob Iger referenced that he thought for sure that the reason why attendance had not spiked was because everybody was waiting for Rise of the Resistance to open at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So he acknowledged that it was a problem, but I think you're right that we're still going to see these phased openings.
So sad.
With lands. I think maybe it was just a convenient excuse because he had to say something to the shareholders and things weren't performing well after $1 billion was spent. But hey, I wish Disney would definitely take a look at what just didn't work. And, this 2019 themed entertainment report coming out saying attendance is flat is definitely something that I think is very validating to what all of us felt. There was disappointment, in the land overall. While it's a spectacular place to visit, we talked about this in long form at one point, many broadcasts ago. You can find it at youtube.com/The Kingdom Report if you want to take a look. But as spectacular of a land as it is, and as immersive as it feels, sort of in a grand sense, there's so little to do. And for a space to be dedicated, so much space to be dedicated to one sort of IP, one sort of intellectual property, I think everybody was just sort of anticipating a lot more. And word got out real quick.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they promised so many things. And then for those people that got to do the reservation system and got in, they told the truth. And everybody's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think from a theme park lover's perspective, they did themselves a disservice because, I compare it to Wizarding World a lot because it's just one of those things where they said it was going to be the next level of immersiveness, the next level of entertainment. And I was like, this feels like a step back to me from Wizarding World. But again, could you imagine if like Diagon Alley opened and Gringotts was closed? I mean, that would just be crazy.
I mean,
to me.
I would still go for that chicken sandwich.
Listen, it's all about the chicken sandwich at Avengers Campus. But anyway, go ahead, Gared.
I was going to say with Diagon Alley, there's only one attraction there, not including the train. So it'd be like, oh, you can.
But there's one
Okay,
interacting.
well then let's talk about
Oh,
Hogsmeade
okay,
then.
alright.
Like if Hogsmeade opened without Forbidden Journey, I mean, I still think that would be insane. That's just me personally.
Absolutely. So Avengers Campus, we're looking to you to hopefully give this thing away. And if not you, then we're looking to Tokyo Disney because they are known by Disney. So
we're
they can
not
do whatever
even.
they want. I'm looking forward to their Fantasyland area that they're doing with Peter Pan, Tangled, and Frozen. It's going to be spectacular. So, but
Yeah, but that's not
again,
the United
Disney doesn't
States.
dictate that. So, yeah.
Way off course. My God. Thrilled to see that validation come through, that we aren't crazy, that we were really experiencing something that was not all that thrilling, and to know that this information is put out there is really helpful, I think, in identifying that sometimes even a company like Disney that we adore, that we love, that we cherish, that we do a show after, can even make a misstep. Unfortunately, it was $1 billion misstep, and now that they've opened Rise of the Resistance, definitely one of the most sought after attractions, really kind of an amazing feat in storytelling for how immersive an attraction can be, but the rest of the land just sort of sits there. So we look forward to hearing about the 2021 attendance figures. We're just going to act like 2020 doesn't exist at this point.
Probably a good idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, major attractions are permanently shutting down at Walt Disney World. This all coming out in the last few days, kind of startling, in memos being sent out to Disney cast members and sort of notating some individual experiences that will no longer be offered moving forward in the theme parks in Florida. We hear that Stitch's Great Escape, which had already been on the docket for demolition, that is permanently closed. The Rivers of Light, the nighttime spectacular at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which had a very short run, is also being kaput. And then on top of that, Primeval Whirl at the Dino Land USA at Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park also being sort of shuttered and removed. Now, we understand, truly tragic, we understand that, these experiences might sit there for a while, sort of untouched, as Stitch's Great Escape has been for the last few years. It turned into more of a meet and greet for Stitch, just sort of a housing unit for the meet and greet. But we've sort of touched on the past about how, Wreck-It Ralph might potentially be moving in, and what new attraction might be moving into that space at Magic Kingdom, because it is prime real estate at Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland. But Primeval Whirl, I mean, I don't think anybody is all that hurt to see that go in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Dinoland USA, to a certain degree, we did many moons ago a whole segment on it, whether it's worth doing or ditching. In Dinoland USA, other than the dinosaur attraction that's modeled after the same sort of ride experience as Indiana Jones Adventure at Disneyland,
Great ride.
The whole sort of Dinoland USA experience, it does feel cheap to a lot of people. It was meant to, right? The storytelling is supposed
cheesy.
to be.
It's funny that they're like, hey, let's make a themed area that's based on the thing that Walt didn't want in his theme parks. And they did the same exact thing with Paradise Pier, and that's why they've changed it now. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And so now the other sort of major draw to Dino Land, that attraction, Primeval Whirl, being sort of stomped out and shut down. Who knows what's going in that space, and who knows what they're going to do with that area at this point? Because when you shutter an attraction, especially that's so sort of central to the land, you got to have a plan for what's going in there. And at this point, I don't think any money's been spent because they're desperate at the moment for cash on hand because they've lost a lot. But in that regard, and on top of it, Rivers of Light, the nighttime spectacular that was supposedly compared. I remember it being explained up front that it was going to be very similar to World of Color at Disney California Adventure. That is not the same thing. That is nowhere near the same thing. Katrina, any of these surprise you?
No. I'm glad that they're getting, well, I guess Rivers of Light, sort of. I mean, it was somewhere to like attract people at night to make them stay kind of thing. And like the tree, they did like that, what is it called? Projection mapping and stuff on the tree. And so I'm like, oh, wow, they really pulled the cord. Okay. I mean, it was kind of needed. All I heard was bad things about it. I never personally got to watch it, but I've only heard like bad things.
That's why we never watch it. We were just, why would we spend our time doing something that we've always heard was like, I'm agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing.
Let's go get a drink. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like we would rather go do something else with our time. I kind of wonder.
With friends mainly.
Yeah, we were with friends and stuff like that. But I kind of wonder too if this means the end of Animal Kingdom at night. Like, are they going to just stop doing Animal Kingdom?
Should do like the tree or something, or kind of do some kind of projection.
I gotta say,
somewhere.
It felt like there was a huge investment for Animal Kingdom becoming a full day and specifically a nighttime type park. They were definitely going that route before all this happened, the pandemic and everything. So there was an extension even of, food options and everything like that at night with the Harambe Marketplace and all of that stuff sort of being elevated,
they
for
have to
the nighttime
build more,
offerings.
like on the side where Nemo is.
Yeah.
They really need to like knock all like save dinosaur. Don't touch it.
Right.
That's just its own like little area. But then everything else, just get rid of it and build like something cool like Zootopia or something interesting to pull people in and make them stay all day. Because I mean, the Nemo show is great. But I've only watched it once and I'm done. But
one and done.
That's it. But just do something more where people can like last all day there. Because how many times can you make your kid play these carnival games and you don't even get like Disney merchandise when you win? You get some weird cheap dinosaur.
Yeah, it's weird prizes. I've never understood it. I just think that whole area did feel like out of place in Animal Kingdom.
Humid,
it was really strange
and weird.
Yeah. The only thing I think the redeeming quality for like Primeval Whirl was like for a off the shelf kind of like carnival roller coaster, they actually did theme it pretty decently. It has actually almost exactly the same story that the big dinosaur attraction has, where there's a meteor coming down to Earth and all the dinosaurs are running for their lives, which is really funny, right? So no, anyway, it's just that so I kind of liked the theming they did to it, but it was just something we never even set our sights to do. It was, and so I'm not surprised. And it's
made me
to me the funniest part of this whole news story though is that they finally were like, "Hey, Stitch's Great Escape is closed," because it's just like, yeah, where have you? It's almost like, do you guys even know what's happening in your own company? Like, yeah, we know it's closed, we get it. I mean, everybody saw those pictures of Stitch with no skin on, like, and
he's clearly being dismantled.
Yeah, I know. And then when this news came out, I'm sure your pug Curt, like, I could feel the force. I could feel him being like, "What's happened?"
Yeah,
like
he was
knew.
pretty upset.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
He doesn't get much representation in the park, so that was pretty.
No,
bad.
you're right. You're right.
A part of him left.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Kurt's little pug dog is named Stitch. So there's the tie-in. Hey, Gared, let's jump to you. In terms of Walt Disney World sort of permanently closing down these attractions, we also are hearing this week that the Epcot experience has cut out entirely the reference to the Mary Poppins attraction that was supposedly coming to the UK section of Epcot. And then on top of that, it sounds like the overhaul that was planned on put into and formed into Spaceship Earth, the big golf ball, both of those have been eliminated from the Epcot experience. And therefore, it's leading a lot of people to wonder if we are going to see those at all at this point. What's your take? There's a lot going on this week.
So first, I lit some candles for the attractions that are no longer with us. So RIP to them. Here are the candles. I can't help them that much.
Don't drop them.
No, I'll burn myself. But no, I'm personally fine with the Mary Poppins attraction not coming back, or at least being postponed, because I honestly don't think it was going to be anything that spectacular, because with all the other new attractions, we've been given a lot of information on what type of ride system it would be, whether it's a dark ride, whether it's projections, whether it's, like one of these little things. But with that one, we were given no news other than you're going to walk down Cherry Tree Lane and that's it. So
very vague. Yeah.
I'm okay with that one being gone. I'd rather turn into, I don't know, you could do so much with England. There's so much to do back there. The Spaceship Earth one, I'm very bummed out about, because the concept art that they had looked absolutely fantastic. And I'm all for, Walt Disney's idea of the parks never finish. We move forward, we change new things, we innovate. And so I'm very sad about that. That one, I have no doubt, will eventually come back when the revenue starts going up. Mary Poppins, I think that should just be put on the back burners and then kicked off the back of the truck, and not see the light of day.
She'll fly away with that umbrella though when she falls off the truck.
I was gonna say the same
I
thing.
know, she was never gonna die.
She'll be all right.
Yeah, but no, and the Epcot experience, which is one of my favorite little areas to just go and relax. Yeah, they have removed those too, and I was shocked to see that the Moana water, I guess, experience attraction is still going to be there. I'm very excited for that, because I think it's a cool idea. It talks about water conservation and its importance in our life. So I love that they're still keeping that, because they've done a considerable amount of construction in that area. So I don't think they can really gut that one. With Mary Poppins, they hadn't even started on it, and Epcot or on Spaceship Earth, they hadn't even started on that. So I'm not surprised by those two. Rivers of Light, going way back, I'm perfectly fine with that thing being gone. I saw it one time and I was not impressed by it. It had a 15-minute delay for no apparent reason. And I remember when it first came out, there were concepts about like, oh, we're going to have performers on the barge. We're going to have them interacting with the crowd. And then it just turned into this little water pageant, then a little fire at the end. And then I don't know, it was like a knockoff World of Color. I would rather have them gut the entire thing and turn it into an actual maybe animal World of Color, where it's just focusing on the animal movies or something. But Rivers of Light, I'm okay with that, going down literally Rivers of Light. But
you bring up a good point, Gared, because like that's what I've always heard, like that they've struggled with technical problems with Rivers of Light ever since it was conceived. Like I remember in the beginning, one of the barges sunk, and it was hard to see like the different projections and stuff. This is all hearsay because I haven't seen the show, like I said, but it's definitely one of those things where they probably just said, just pull the cord on this thing. It's not even worth it for us anymore.
It did feel like a very big waste of time when I saw it. I was really looking forward to, because it was something new and exciting, and they were building it much to the degree of like World of Color at California Adventure, and it just did not live up to the same expectations. And granted, they can't do nearly as much based on how all the animals are sort of sleeping near this site, and it's at an end of the park where apparently they're able to have a nighttime spectacular. But as far as fireworks and stuff like that go, they can't really do that in that park because of
That'd be very
the
cruel.
Yeah. So, they have to be respectful of the animals, but I do feel like there's so much that could have been done in that space for Rivers of Light that just wasn't done. So crossing our fingers, hoping for a new nighttime spectacular to come to Animal Kingdom and for nighttime to live on in that park. But I think you're right, Gared, when it comes to Mary Poppins in particular, the attraction itself might just get a whole new life on the other side of this, and that could work out very well for all of us, because there was a fear that this could have just been like a carousel ride or something very minimal. Mary Poppins, of all characters, of all the intellectual property that Disney has at this point, absolutely deserves an over-the-top spectacular attraction, and hopefully she will get that with all of this movement. So we will see. Stay where you are. Kingdom Report Live continues next.
Hey Kingdom team, do you need more magic in your life? We understand, which is why we what makes you happy 3 times a week. Catch our theme park coverage, vlogs, and reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And experience the Kingdom Report live, streaming every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. That's new content Thursday and Saturday, crafted with you in mind. Don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications and catch Kingdom Report live on social.
Kingdom Team All Call Time has arrived. Question and answer time. If you got a question for us, send it on over to kingdomreportlive.com. You can fill out the form there, or you can throw it down into the comment section over on the Kingdom Report via YouTube or at Kingdom Report Live on any of our social media pages. Go ahead, toss it on down there. And by the way, if you like what you see here, make sure you give us a big thumbs up. We like you. We hope you like us. If we have earned your trust, if we have earned your viewership, make sure you hit the thumbs up. And if you aren't subscribed, oh my goodness, you are so missing out. Do so. All right. First question this week comes to us from our dear friend, Bonnie Toshido. And she says, they just canceled the 2021 Rose Parade here in Southern California. What do you think that means for Disneyland's reopening? Tremendous question. I have to say, this news that the Rose Parade has been canceled for 2021, for anybody that doesn't know, the Rose Parade is basically like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade for Southern California. And it happens on New Year's. It is a tremendous honor to be a part of the parade at any point. A lot of local schools, a lot of local institutions are part of building the floats, and it takes months on end to make this parade happen. And the organizers came out this past week and said that the Rose Parade is officially canceled for 2021. Very troubling news, but that does raise a great question. If something as big as that is being canceled and it's in 2021, and the state of California has just announced a whole new slew of shutdowns with no end date at this point, when do we anticipate? I feel like we ask this question every week, but when do we anticipate now with this constantly fluid situation of Disneyland parks reopening? Katrina?
I honestly don't think that they're similar. They're
Okay.
the same because the Rose Parade is people waiting overnight for the best seats to get the best view of the parade, and they're all in close proximity. With Disneyland, they're canceling all fireworks, all parades, so there's not going to be a lot of lingering people hanging around together besides like friends having, whatever, fun. So it's completely different. They're able to trying to get people separated, wear a mask, keep them separated at Disneyland, and have a limited amount of people coming. For Rose Parade, people again, I'm gonna say it again. They
camp out overnight.
Yeah,
like
they
a lot
camp
of people
out
camp
overnight.
out overnight.
It's a major event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can't they can't try to have someone go, okay, you guys, 6 feet apart, wear your masks. And then if they don't have people camp out, then they're going to try to get people. It's just not going to look the same when when they're all lining up to see the Rose Parade, and there's going to be like big gaps and stuff, and then not a lot of people are really going to be there. And then if they don't let anybody there, and then just have like the parades just go down the street without any cheering and stuff, that's not even that fun either. So, so I don't think they're the same.
So not comparable.
Disneyland might open, way I'm going to say August 3rd again.
Birthday.
My birthday.
Yeah. Very, very smart. Well, it appears that Disney has also contacted anybody that may have booked reservations with them. They sent some cancellation emails their way. Anybody who has reservations through August the 8th. That might just knock your idea right off the block there.
They can open the park before the hotels.
They could. They could. They certainly could. But now knowing that Disneyland has sort of pushed out even their hotel capacity past the 8th of August leads us to believe that, okay, they likely won't have theme parks reopening until after that point or by that point. Tyler, you take any different position on this?
I'm with Katrina. I think they're kind of different animals. You've got people not only camping out, like we said, but also they sell tickets for bleachers and Are they going to have to separate people in the bleachers? And not only that, but all the people, like you said, Wade, that are building these floats. A lot of them are volunteers or school or people that go to school or whatever. And I think that puts all those people in a dangerous position. Whereas with Disneyland, at least it's this corporate entity that has to follow these government guidelines and stuff like that will probably be a little bit safer for their cast than these random volunteers would be, unfortunately. Like even the towns that I lived in, La Cañada, they used to do a float, and it was just a bunch of random people welding and putting flowers on a big giant thing.
It's quite a community event.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where I do think they're different, but I think that Disneyland could open this year still. I think that I'm thinking, September, October is probably going to be the time it happens. And, I think they would open tomorrow if the government would let them. But, obviously Newsom has changed his mind on things,
which the unions agree.
Yeah, and the unions too. But it's one of those things where I think they're going to be as safe as possible, and it's just harder for the Rose Parade to keep things safe. They're not going to have that watchful eye over every single component of the Rose Parade. So I think September, October, hopefully.
Okay. All right. Well, Gared, let's toss it to you. Obviously, Walt Disney World theme parks have now all officially reopened, even in the middle of this pandemic and sort of numbers surging in the state and becoming very problematic for that state, that governor. The governor here in California did recently take that position, as we mentioned, where suddenly most indoor activities, a lot of things are shut down all over again to try and manage the uptick that we were seeing here in this state. Are you somebody that thinks, because this is very weird, right? Like to have one coast of Disney completely reopened at this point in terms of theme parks, and then to have the other coast, which isn't nearly as bad in terms of cases at the moment, struggling, I should say, they are not opening. So do you subscribe to the idea that 2021 might potentially be the time in which Disneyland reopens, or you think it'll be beforehand?
No, I think Disneyland will happen much earlier than 2021. For those of you that do not know, the Rose Parade is built around the Rose Bowl college football game,
right,
which takes place as part of the New Year's Six Bowl series. And it's like what Tyler and Katrina said, you're out in the open, you're in the crowd, you're on the streets, versus in a Disney park, you're on private property. They can essentially control the situation at hand. So I think Disneyland will open September 21st. That's my guess. But
it's oddly specific.
I think it will. Well, I don't know. It's a number that popped in my head.
Is that like the first day of fall or something?
No, but
I like how we go. Oh, that's very specific. You're like, just whatever.
But
I saw it in my brain.
But one reason why the parade is closed is because in the Pac-12 conference, which is college football, that is the region of the Rose Bowl. So with that area of college football being closed, there's no point in having a parade if there's no bowl game, which goes associated with it. That's enough sports talk. But no, Disneyland will open, I think, sometime in 2020. The weather there is perfect year round, so you don't have to worry about snow in LA closing down stuff. So
if we had
I
snow
think
in
it
LA,
will happen.
something bad's happening.
Unlike in Florida.
I think
right, yeah.
September, October, maybe that's going to be the area for Disneyland to reopen, but Disneyland will reopen. I think it's the in and out analogy where the states that have in and out are closed while the ones that don't are open. Florida, no in and out. So that's why it's open.
Don't tell Nevada.
No.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're sort of a lawless system. They're built Area 51.
They're run by degenerates and cheats.
Yeah.
No.
So comparable. Absolutely. Well, we are grateful for the question and certainly are looking forward to when Disneyland officially reopens and when the state allows such things to happen as we continue to watch Walt Disney World sort of thrive in this environment while Disneyland remains closed. This question comes to us from Elmer Whitmire. Elmer says, now seeing what each Disney World park has to offer upon reopening, would you say they're all worth full price and visiting? This is an interesting question. We have witnessed now, as all 4 theme parks have come back online at Walt Disney World, that not all of them are coming back with the same types of experiences, the same attractions that they once had. Some have been completely closed down. Others have been very reduced in terms of capacity. And so, you're still paying that same price. We've talked about that, how, this trip is still going to cost you the same amount. You're likely going to experience far less. So are there any parks, Tyler, that come to your mind first that might stand out to you as ones that, if you only had a short amount of time, maybe you'd skip?
I mean, I think we all know that you should probably avoid Hollywood Studios at this point, just because we were talking about it earlier. The show, half of the park is shows, and those shows are all closed, and so that's a huge bummer. I think Star Wars is really the only redeeming thing there right now, and even that is, something that you can do for a few hours, and then you'll be like, okay, now what? So, I just think that you kind of have to weigh it based on. I think it depends on the individual, because if this is your first time going to Disney, I would say don't spend the money to do this. If you go to Disney like once a year, or you've been there multiple times and it's just like, I just want to get my Disney fix, then spend that money, unless the fireworks and the parades are very important to you, So I think it really depends on how many times you go, how often you've been. If this is your first time, don't go. That's my advice.
Not worth the price.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if like exactly what Tyler said, and on top of it, if you love doing rides, then I would say go, because I've heard nothing but the best things on some of the higher. Ooh, smack my microphone.
Easy.
The higher the higher in demand rides they're able to do within 10-15 minutes, like Flight of Passage. I mean, again, you don't want to do Animal Kingdom all at once, but if you love Flight of Passage and you want to ride it numerous times in a day, have at it, have fun, because I've heard they're about 15-20 minute wait instead of 120 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But
Right.
if you've never done before, if you've never been to Disney World, don't do it. It's not worth the money.
I get jealous too, because just a quick side note, we've always done Fast Pass for Flight of Passage, and I would love to go through that queue for once in my life.
Yeah, really
'cause I
see
heard-
things.
Yeah, because
Sure.
But not wait for 120 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's got so many cool things in there that I've never seen myself. But anyway, little side note.
Wow. No, I completely understand, and I think I agree. Gared, you're a pro. You're somebody that's a local when it comes to Walt Disney World. Would you say, I mean, for full price, are there any parks at this point that you'd, say skip out on?
I would say skip out on Epcot and Hollywood Studios, simply for the fact that Epcot, half of it's under construction. The Ratatouille attraction is not open yet. There's no Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind roller coaster. Space 220, that's still gone.
Yeah, no one's even talking about Space 220 anymore. That
I
restaurant,
think they want it to
what
be
happened
forgotten.
Kind of forgot about it, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's all indoor
Yeah, but
dining, so what are they even going to do at this point?
right?
Technically, it's
Yeah,
outdoor dining.
Epcot doesn't have any real big shiny new toys to to play with. So if you want to do 5-minute Soarin', you can do that almost any other day if you get there at the right time. So I skipped that. Hollywood Studios, I simply go there just to wait in line for the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. So I'll be waiting for weeks on end, and boy, that will be exciting. So I'm skipping those. The Kingdoms are where you want to go, Magic and Animal, because if you can do Flight of Passage in 5 minutes, heck, that's amazing. If you can do Mine Train, I'd still skip Mine Train to begin with. But part of me would go to Magic Kingdom just for the nostalgia, looking at the castle transform, because each day they're adding more paint, they're adding more coaster, making it become this rose gold something or other. So I'm looking forward to see what the finished product will be on that. But again, it's like what I've said countless times. If you are a local or you're in the nearby area, such as maybe like the southern states in that area, the Panhandle, I could see going. But if you're from further away and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, don't do it. Like, locals are essentially the ones that are benefiting from this. I will say that there is some sort of value because you're getting the short wait time, so you can experience more rather than, you can do it in 3 days rather than 5. Well, technically you need 4 because you can only do one park a day, but you get what I'm saying. You're getting the chance to experience more of the attraction. But if you like to experience the shows and the characters, then you're not going to get your money's worth. But if you're just an attractions and environment type person, then I say go if you've got the cash to burn. But
Very well
I
rounded.
can't make decisions for anyone.
It's a nice balance. Thank you. Curt, you think about Hollywood Studios. We did mention, obviously, half the park is closed because it's mostly a show park.
Yeah.
However, they do have Toy Story Land. They do have, your Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, your Rise of the Resistance. So some of the hottest new attractions that have come online for Walt Disney World. Would you skip Hollywood Studios?
I probably would skip Hollywood Studios just because again you want the attractions or not the attractions, the shows and everything.
You don't want to ride Mickey's Runaway Railway?
Well, I'd rather ride Mickey's Runaway Railway and do everything else too.
Oh, that makes sense.
You know, like if
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't
gonna
even
go
mention
there.
that. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. That also is a new attraction. There.
Yeah, you know, I haven't ridden that yet, but I would rather just go there when everything's functioning. I'll wait. I don't want to go just to get a little bit of piece of here and a little bit of piece of there.
You don't want to go Star Wars over there?
No,
Looks
Kurt
exactly the
wants
same.
Voyage of the Little
No,
Mermaid.
exactly.
He wants Voyage of the Little Mermaid
Well, I
and
have
Disney
that.
Junior Dance Party.
See, when I go to
Those are the
Disney
two you
World,
want.
I want to go to stuff that I can't get at Disneyland.
I know.
Sure.
And I can get Mermaid Voyage over
Yeah.
here, and I can
Well-
get Star
Oh,
Wars.
the
here.
show, I guess.
He's
You
talking
know?
about the show though, but yeah,
Oh, the show.
yeah.
Last time I went on that show,
Wah, wah.
I got dripped
That-
on the
that
whole entire
broken
time.
show.
That
Well,
sounds
you
fun.
were just under the sea. What do you expect? I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
I mean, I guess I got a firsthand experience.
But
of it.
it's one of those things too where I don't even think we even mentioned that you cannot park hop right now.
Yeah,
so,
right. One
so-
park, one day.
Yeah, so going to Hollywood Studios feels like a waste of a ticket to me, but that's just my opinion. I mean, you're right.
You don't want
Runaway
all the Cobb
Railway.
salad? Just sit
Oh,
there.
you
Keep
know
them
what?
coming.
Cobb salad. I'll go 2 days now.
You can get a
the
reservation.
Cobb salad that did it, huh?
No,
a Cobb salad.
Yeah.
Muppet Vision 3D nonstop.
Oh.
Muppet Vision 3D nonstop. You
like
cannot
me
get
some
enough of that
Muppets.
because it's not a Disneyland
pizza
anymore,
Rizzo?
right? It's not a
Yeah.
California Adventure.
That's
So
right.
That's true.
You just sit there and you just watch.
Yeah.
You just watch.
Between that
You
and
just
breaking
watch.
for your lunch at Pizza Rizzo, I mean, there's no greater
Pizza
way to
Rizzo,
spend
that's
your money.
The meal of kings.
Every time I went there, it was so dead. I was the only one there eating.
There's a reason
Now
for
it might be a
Kurt.
little bit busier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Elmer, we appreciate the question. Hopefully that helps you decide. We know that as of right now, obviously 2020 being so fluid, new experiences, attractions are going to be brought back online as it is appropriate. So who knows? I mean, if you happen to plan a trip at some point in 2020, I mean, shows might be brought back at some point, or 1 week where you're there, potentially an attraction that's closed right now may reopen based on what's going on in the world. So everything obviously is very fluid, but we certainly hope that this has helped you a little bit in deciding what to do next. Getting Report Live finishes up next.
Do you know everything the ghost host is going to say before he says it? Are you ready to thank the Venetians each time you board Spaceship Earth? Can you recite Walt's opening day dedication speech? Then join the Kingdom team today, the influential legacy fan community featuring exclusive merchandise that will alert all who've come to this happy place that you are more than just another guest. You are a trusted theme park fan. Don't miss out. Join the Kingdom team right now by visiting the homepage at kingdomreportlive.com. That's kingdomreportlive.com. And now, back to the magic.
And what do you know? That about wraps things up. We take a look outside at Space Mountain at the Disneyland Resort. It's so nice to be able to get these views from the Hojo Anaheim Mattercam high atop the Howard Johnson Hotel. Really cool to be able to take a look at the parks even though you can't necessarily be there. However, our own Tyler and Katrina visited downtown Disney last week.
sure
What'd you guys
did.
think? What happened?
I thought it was pretty good at first. It was the hottest day of the year too, mind you.
Yeah.
But it was good. Like we parked pretty easily, got a pretty decent parking spot. The temperature check was cool. We had to walk through like where the dog is to sniff my bag, and then we did the security check. I think I was a little weirded out by the bag check part because they had like on the table they had a plexiglass, and then security was on the other side. But then to check my bag, he like forced it underneath the little space.
Oh.
And I was like, well, this is an expensive bag. And then they like pulled it through, and then he like barely even really touched it, and then pushed it back through, and then made me put it on the side of the metal detector. And then I was like, okay, so you didn't even clean the table. You didn't really wash your hands before or after and the table. So I was a little weirded out by it. But other than that, it seemed, people were keeping their spaces. There are some people that did the whole like little mask under the nose thing, but then there was a lot of managers like walking around, and they kept telling people to put it put it up.
I've never seen so much leadership walking around like any Disney area. Honestly,
yeah.
there was so many people in just like their Disney, their nice
Business
business casual stuff. Like, but I thought overall very organized.
How nice to hear.
They did a pretty good job. Like Katrina said, there were people who were trying to get away with things under their nose, or like they don't have a drink or food and they're taking their mask off and sitting down, which fine, but just you don't have to do that in the middle of downtown Disney. Go somewhere else and do it. I don't know. I'm like a rule follower usually, and when I see people not following the rules, it like kind of irritates me. So I was kind of a little bit on edge a lot of the time because I just look at that guy and look at her. She's just and so it's just hard for me to like. I have to just focus, do my breathing, and just.
And we did like Uba Bar, and the wait wasn't too long.
Yeah,
which is great.
And I will say every single store had a line. So just be prepared to wait in lines. I mean, they were all social distancing, but it was like World of Disney had a massive line, and
those are people just that got the text to come back.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was cool. I wouldn't say go super out of your way to go to downtown Disney, but
be prepared
especially
for the
not
parking
right now.
to close.
But and the parking closed while we were there. So
yeah, we've seen that a few times this week.
Yeah. So I mean, we're lucky we got in when we did, because what people do if the parking closes is they just keep doing loops around that area. So it just makes it a little crazy, because people just keep doing a U-turn and then a U-turn and then a U-turn. So
waiting for it to open again.
Yeah, waiting for it to open. I will say I was super sad that Trader Sam's was still closed, but
it was a little weird walking into Esplanade, and I got a little emotional. Seeing like Disneyland and then a DCA, and then over in DCA side they had like plexiglass covering the gates. So when they open the gate, it creates like a barrier from when like the two lines go through, which is clever. But then Disneyland was like roped off, so you couldn't get up very close to it. But it was cool. It was weird to see it quiet and so desolate, and like it made me emotional, being like, oh God, we're back here again, which is great. And I haven't been like here in so long, so it made me feel good. And like seeing even the cast members like, hey, welcome back, and I'm just like, thank you.
Thank you. Did they by chance have a relaxation station in downtown Disney that you saw?
I didn't hear of any, and I didn't see any. But again,
they made their own relaxation station.
Yeah, the Esplanade is like so open, and there's all these spaces off to the side. If you really need to like take a break, I understand some people, maybe have some claustrophobic thing. They need to take their mask off for a second. If you really need to do that, don't do it sitting in the middle of downtown Disney, you know what I mean? So it was just one of those things where I was like, Disney can't be everywhere at once. But I will say, to their credit, I saw them tell numerous people like, hey, this is a mask zone, you need to put your mask back on. And they were not afraid to do that, which I greatly appreciate.
Good.
Yeah.
Happy to hear.
Yeah. Definitely happy to hear that.
Excellent. Well, let's jump back out to Gared as we finish things up. Any final words, sir?
Yeah, so this week something spectacular is happening, not for me, but rather for my lovely girlfriend, Ariel. If you guys didn't know, I have a girlfriend. Her name's Ariel. Yes, she has red hair. This week, she is taking her MCAT exam. And for those of you that do not know, that is the exam you have to take if you want to go to medical school, because Ariel wants to be a doctor. So she's taking that test this week. So my love, I wish you nothing but luck, kick butt, be a doctor, so I never have to work again, and I can just take care of our imaginary pets that we have, and just do this show. This will be all I have.
Oh my gosh,
but no,
yes.
I just want to wish her good luck, because she's been studying for several months. She's been kicking butt, and everyone say a prayer for her, root for her, all that good stuff, because I know she's going to do great. Other than that, today I think I might watch Treasure Planet. That seems like a good movie to watch right now.
Well, okay. Ariel, we wish you all the luck in the world. Gared needs a sugar mama, so we need you to pass, okay? We're looking forward to hearing the most positive of results on that front. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps things up for us. We so appreciate you being a part of the broadcast as always. And if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed to us at The Kingdom Report on YouTube, at Kingdom Report Live on social media. There's so much that we cover each and every week. You got to be there for all of it, don't you? I think so. Well, remember, my friends, the legacy of Walt Disney lives on because of people like you and me. We'll see you next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, for an all-new Kingdom Report Live.